Good evening and welcome to Pioneer Governors. Tonight we feature the pioneer, first governor of Marsabit County, Ambassador Ukur Yatani. Thank you, sir, for being with us on the show. Of course, you've moved on since from county governance. Now you're CS Labour, but let's take it back to you being the first governor of Marsabit County and how that was. It's a new system of governance. There's hope, expectation in the air, and you're the man charged with leading that county into this new system. Talk to us about how it was.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's really a privilege for me to give my experience as far as my position then as the county governor, the pioneer governor of Marsabit. Foremost, I'm really grateful. I think one thing that Kenya needs to be grateful is to themselves for enacting a new constitution that turned around both socio-political, economic situations of the country. From time immemorial, from independence, the session of paper number 10 of 1965 envisioned a situation where government investment, public investment, resources of this country will be injected into agriculturally viable regions with the hope that the spillover will be used to develop the marginal areas, climatically marginal areas. And the marginal areas happen to be northern Kenya. But unfortunately, investment in agriculture did not keep on rising, did not continue yielding the intended benefit. So instead, the resources that actually the outcome has been going down.
Right.
So really, essentially, there was nothing to, to recoup. There was no surplus, not even being enough. There was no surplus to be invested in those regions. So the northern counties, northern regions continue lagging behind development because absolutely there's very little investment in terms of infrastructure, social facilities, mention it, including even getting people into jobs so that they can grow. So the reason as to why particularly the people, citizens in those regions needs to be grateful to Kenya to have envisioned a situation of a new constitution that came in 2010 that gave opportunity to regional governance, where people are given opportunity to be masters of their own destiny, including economic resource, including political decisions. It's under that arrangement. Well, then I was the governor. Then I was the ambassador to in Europe, in Austria, and permanent representative of the UN. And all along, my interest has been serving people, making a difference in their lives. And I saw an opportunity. I came back. I ran for governor. And fortunately, I was elected. Right. And I was elected, came into a scene where absolutely there was nothing.
How would you describe the state of Marsabit at the time? On a
terrible.
Scale of 1 to 10? 1 being the least, the worst.
1 out of 10. Because you had nothing to talk of. There was no running water in most places. You've never seen tarmac. We've never seen decent hospitals. We've never seen many things. So the first 3 months, I was actually running between my meetings from kiosk to kiosk, or even under verandas of some of the shops. I didn't have an office. I didn't have a staff. I didn't have a vehicle. There are no facilities. Absolutely nothing. So thrust into this challenge, I came very fast and built a government, built individuals, picked on individuals who could make a difference alongside me, who could work with me. I remember how difficult it was even to come up with what will be our vision as a county.
Yeah, and even what do you prioritize
yes, exactly.
when everything is
even
a mess?
having, now where are we going from here?
Right.
We've been entrusted with a lot of responsibility, a lot of, there's too much expectations on the part of the public. Here they see government has been very far away from them in the past.
No, it's close.
Nairobi and maybe sometimes in Embu. And hardly many people get an opportunity to travel those places to consult their own government. Now we have a government amidst them. And the government is me. And the government is the people that are working with me. We walk around, they see the government. We see things not happening, they see the government. The level of expectation at that time could not even give us an opportunity to plan properly. But I must say, I look back with a lot of nostalgia and very proud, having changed the course of history, having changed the lives of very many.
So what
quickly we moved.
Yeah.
We embarked on construction of a modern office now can be compared, I think, will be the best in all the counties. Came up, with a strategic plan, the county CIDP. Ours, Marsabit, was rated the best in the country and even earned international recognitions through the UN headquarters here. So we were able to have a clear roadmap. We knew where we were heading to, and we were able to marshal resources, not only the one that we get from the National Treasury, but also get development partners on our side. All of them. There are a lot of interest, whether in health, whether in water, whether in other spectrum of the society, a lot of resources. We were able to pull a lot of resources.
So directly as a county, because that has been one of the challenges many governors speak of, that other than what the exchequer is allocating, that being able to get other sources of revenue. So
yes.
That was not difficult for you.
Well, I think what helped me a bit is I have been through many things. I have been in the provincial administration, worked in every corner of this country, had an opportunity to be a member of parliament. And where it exposed me so much is being an ambassador representing this country, where I could relate and interact freely at the international arena. And we were able to, ignite the contacts we had at all levels. And we were able to pull a lot of donors. Foremost, I think my mission then as the first governor was that the first 2-3 weeks, in liaison with the people that I put in place, we said what will be our priority. Number one, my idea was built on 4 pillars. Number one, I came at a time when the county was actually disintegrating. The cohesion index was at its lowest. Communities were fighting. Conflict was at its peak. Because Marsabit is a cosmopolitan, ethnically, we have 14 different groups. And most of them are actually in conflict with each other. You can imagine, what was happening around Moyale, the influence of the border, many deaths, destruction of properties, and a lot of things. Communities are not even talking to each other. So I built my first pillar on social cohesion. Number 2...
So how did you go about that? Let me take you back to number 1. How do you go about, you find people where animosity is the everyday status. How do you deal with that?
When I realized things were so bad, the level of suspicion between communities was at its peak. I quickly moved in. I established a department that will be devoted to issues of cohesion, integration and cohesion, where when we think, any trigger of any misunderstanding between communities, we send a council of elders from all communities. So I had a council of elders from each of these communities that sit together, that go as a group and sit between communities. And through that, over time, it was not very easy. It was not an easy journey. It took us a bit of time, but finally we managed. It was very easy to reconcile the communities and understand that is the larger good. And number 2, what we did, we became transparent in terms of resource allocation. Marsabit then was the only county that the resource distribution was based as per the ward level. We had a clear percentage of, how much resources will go to each of the 4, sub-counties, the constituencies. And we did on the parameters that the CRA was using then. We looked at the population as a factor, the service, the cost of service delivery in terms of expansiveness. We looked at all these, and we were able to agree that the biggest county was getting 29% of the resources, while the second was getting 27%, while the third one was getting 24%, and then the other one 20%. These are because the disparity, because others is like, 2,000 square kilometers, while others are like 40,000 square kilometers. So we handle issues of conflict resolution based on how we were doing it, how we were distributing resources, how we are distributing those positions. Each of the communities were either getting a chief officer or the county executive committee member. And through that, we were able to build what you can actually say a government of national unity, a county government of national unity, because we realized everybody is important, everybody needs to own a piece of the government, everybody needs to get assurance that the government is in the best interest. So number 2, having stabilized the county, coming from where we are coming from, having stabilized the county, I said what will be our second engagement. But know that all of these were going more or less at the same time. Although the focus the first few months, the focus was on social cohesion, and then we looked at the level of service delivery. We inherited a social, infrastructure that actually has collapsed. Our health system was not there. The buildings that were there are all in very poor conditions. We had very few staff in the health sector. We did not have equipment. There were no drugs to talk of. Education was the same. So I gave my second priority as stabilizing, enhancing and ensuring that the social dimension of it are revitalized. Service delivery. We were able to quickly construct a number of health units. We were able to buy equipment, enhanced our drug supply.
And did you have expert capacity in terms of whether it's the doctors, the teachers, or did you have to bring in from different parts of the country?
It's not been easy. Like the health personnel in a vast county, Marsabit is the biggest county in the country, 78,000 square kilometers, like 15% of the Kenyan landmass. And populations are few, but scattered. And wherever they are, they also need a service. So for us now to meet all these, we moved from a staff population in the health sector from about 250 to 900 by the time I was leaving. And our core target were nurses, were clinical officers. Because if we had actually gone for those, other additional, it would have been very difficult. So what we did is that, we made sure that there's health facility, health center, or a dispensary at almost every corner. But we maximized on the referral facilities, one for every sub-county. Made sure that, whatever things that cannot be handled at the lower level of the dispensary or health center level are referred to the sub-county referral facility.
Okay.
And through this, we're able to expand the services, put up new modern theater, put up modern laboratory, equip them, with the latest technology in X-ray, and did all this, put a doctor there. And through that, we were able to, address the challenges that we've had in them.
All right. So you start,
I said now from stabilizing the county in terms of peace and stability, revitalizing the service delivery, we said what will be our third priority, infrastructure. Because for us to enhance, other sector, we need to have either service delivery, either in the productive sector, we needed to have a functional infrastructure. Correct. So we invested in roads, we invested in water, we invested in partnership with Safaricom and the others. We're able now to enhance connectivity, and we did extremely well. And as we're talking now, we've done actually the tarmacking of two of our main urban centers. We've put street lights all over. We've connected all our sub-county headquarters through the fiber optic. Okay. And through that, we're able to even enhance, service delivery, particularly financial services and, other communication.
Right.
And lastly,
yes,
the fourth corner, the fourth agenda was the productive sector. Having, enhanced peace and stability, having revitalized social services, including health and education, having invested in infrastructure, we said now we must go beyond that and have an economy, a county economy that is not only vibrant enough, but gives opportunity for people, so that we can grow, we can make, get more resources, get wealth, and be able to give more employment opportunities to our people. And we looked at critical 4 areas. Number one, we actually took advantage of the border by enhancing trade. We share over 500 kilometer border stretch with Ethiopia. And on both sides, there are communities. So we said we needed to invest in trade. We came up with a number of, micro markets in all over. But the big ones we also put up in the major urban centers, Marsabit, Moyale, and, like Sambis, Northor. But then we also did a, open market in a number of areas, both livestock and also, the small markets for mamas. Okay. And what we did that I entered into an arrangement with the UN and initiated one of the most unique projects in the world, the cross-border development. It never tried anywhere. We wrote a nice paper. We got support of UNDP. We were able to get support of the UN Secretary General. And ours is actually going to be a model. And UN, they are going to inject 5 billion almost every year. That is the plan. So I left at a time when, everything has taken over.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will go back to that and even talk about what you see now, looking back, as your legacy. But let's go back to you, vied for office once again in the last elections, 2017. Why do you think the people rejected you?
Foremost, let me tell you, there's really nothing called rejection. It depends on maybe the perspective people are looking at. But I'm a very proud man, having been not the first governor by name, but having a legacy that I even doubt whether anybody who will come after me can even be remembered at all, in terms of the whatever developments, where we were and where I left.
So what do you attribute
The issue of
to?
election is different. In this country, people don't elect leaders based on performance. Hardly. In very remote. A lot of consideration in terms of clan composition.
So, for instance,
the numbers?
The Burji community, apparently the leaders did come out and said that you did not consult them when you went for re-election. Is that correct? Do you think that was part of the leaders and elders coming and saying others have come to talk to us? Because that is the dynamic, the difference in terms of politics.
Let me tell you, people could have a lot of stories for maybe not voting for you. I told you, in this country, and particularly in the northern Kenya, the consideration for voting for someone, performance could just be maybe at 20-30%. We are dealing with a situation where people find comfort in their own clan members, in the hope that maybe resources and opportunities will be nearer them. So it's not only actually to northern Kenya, even generally the country, but the situation is quite severe in northern Kenya. Dealing with 14 communities with different levels of expectation has also not been very easy. So there are other things I really don't want to talk about, whether things were done fairly, by. Of course, there are a lot of challenges by IBC themselves. The capacity, the ability to conduct a free, fair election then in that county was marred with a lot of, challenges.
But also the violence from the campaign sides. You were charged, fined.
Of course, things were. Well, it depends. It depends on who wants to do something. But what I want to tell you that I am so confident that the legacy we've left behind is for the betterment of the people of Marsabit, in terms of development, in terms of social cohesion, in terms of service delivery, in terms of empowering people. We've empowered people in terms of knowing what their roles are in the civic matter. A lot of things have taken place, and we are now quickly connected, and people are involved because of the engagement and even distributing resources. We had a real engagement, and after all, leaders will have different players at different times. But I'm very happy with what I've done.
But shouldn't the people, once they see, you speak very clearly about the things you were able to do and achieve and improve and grow the status or remove Marsabit from where it was to where you say you left it. So that the question now begs, and even at the national level, we see how presidential elections are very antagonistic. And there are those who feel if our person is president, we are better off. So how do we deal with that? Even, for instance, you talk about the clans in Marsabit and feeling that if they have one of their own, then they're better off. How, as a country, as a county, going forward, do we remove this our man syndrome?
Well, Sophie, I think foremost, that is really, I will not say it's a difficult question, but it really depends on what you want to hear. It really depends on the perspective. If I can talk of the perspective at the county level, yes. The expectation placed on the first governors was not only unreasonable, but unreachable. What can you do in 4 years? When you found the county at almost zero, but the expectation is beyond 100%. They want everybody to be rich. They want everybody to have tap water. They want everybody, to have, jobs. Everybody to become, enterprising in their own because of support from the county. So the expectation then was so much. And in development, you cannot parachute from zero to, where you want to be. Yeah. Is a gradual process. Sometimes a low process. And sometimes those plans were actually taking more than 5 years. They were taking like 10 years. Like the cross-border program that, we entered a deal and the president came to sign, and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia was a 50 billion investment in Marsabit. And I left at a time when we had already even negotiated for part of that money from EU, from IGAD, from a number of organizations. So the fact that maybe I did not continue, and then is a different matter. The expectations were very high then, but gradually we put system structures in place in terms of collaboration, in terms of coordination, in terms of reaching out, and the physical infrastructure is there, the human resource, is there, having people competent, qualified, to champion service delivery and, making a difference. We've done all this, and we are very happy. We even, if you look at Marsabit office, look at the basics.
But is the office a mark of achievement? Isn't it?
I told you, it is, but it's not the only one. I give the challenge that I had when I was elected. The public could not even consult me because I didn't have an office for 3 months. Today we're in this hotel, boardroom for a few days, and that is really not. But now we have an office.
We have a
headquarters where all services are brought into one, and all the services you can get within the proximity of each other. It's not the governor's office, but it's the county government headquarters where people are getting all these opportunities. Right. But the mark of, the mark of development is more than the office. There are a lot of things. Are we any better in terms of infrastructure? Service delivery, is it any better? All these things are
changed.
Yeah.
Before we go on a break, and in the second half, I want to talk more about the different aspects of devolution as we mark 5 years of this system of governance. When you were nominated CS, some of the leaders from Marsabit opposed it and even urged the president not to go ahead with it, describing you as a divisive leader. What do you say to that?
Well, foremost, I want you to understand in whose perspective. The fact that I am your competitor, and we were in different political camps, and you think you have authority over the decision of the president, I think that will be very unfair. The measure, I have told you, I'm a very seasoned public officer, worked in very many areas of this country, contributed heavily in terms of my ability. If I'm not a good leader, then I'll not have reason to where I am. I've been at different levels. So that is perception, the political thinking. And, some of those leaders were actually looking from the perspective of the clan. Maybe they thought one of their own should have been a cabinet secretary. That is their, is their view. But the fact that the president had confidence in me, I am grateful to him, not only as an individual, but as the region where I come from. Yeah. And the only confirmation is that I will do my best. Much more than, I can do for anything else, to ensure his legacy from where I sit that affects my ministry. I'll give my 100% attention and commitment.
Right. Thank you, Governor. Former Governor CS, so forgive me. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll focus on the issues around devolution. We've heard various governors, even during the governors' summit, ventilate on what they think should be improved. It would be great to hear your views, having sat in that seat for the 5 years of your first term. Stay with us here on Pioneer Governors. We'll be right back.